she was telling me she had a policy. I didn't really know anything about the policy she had, but she pulled it out. I looked at it, and I was kind of like acting like I knew what I was looking at. And the only reason I did that is because I knew that, I could call you and you would kind of load me with the answers, right? So I called you, explained the situation, told you what she was taking as far as medications. And you're like, hey, write out these 3 options and ask her which one she wants. And I did that. And then she, picked an option and, helped her get a policy. And that was kind of a light bulb moment. I got a deposit 2 days later. It was pretty cool.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Josh Lockhart here. Family First Life, gloves off here with my good friend, Dawson Bruce, a.k.a. Mr. 10 Families Every 3 Days. That's what we're going to talk about and what he's been doing. Incredible guy. Dawson, glad we could be here, man.
Yeah, man. It's pretty cool. Thanks for having me.
Now, before we even get into that, how cool is this podcast studio?
Yeah, I've not been in many in my day, but I would say this is pretty up there. So
I'm getting Dark Knight vibes, Batman, Batcave.
We're in the Batcave.
Something like that. Hashtag BBE. So anyway, we're here to talk today about, what you've been doing, obviously the business, life insurance, and the industry at whole. So real quick, just wanted so everybody knows who you are. You've been working with us for how many months now?
Really since May. That was my first, full month. So 5-6 months? Yeah.
A whole 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been forever.
All right. So real quick, what's your background? What have you done prior to FFL?
Yeah. So, I'm 29 now, about to cross over to the 30 mark. So that's pretty exciting. But I started in sales when I was 19. Kind of grew up, professionally in that environment and got into car sales for a while. Did that for about 6 years. It was pretty awesome. Did really well, especially the last couple years I was there. I kind of, I guess maybe hit a ceiling on what I felt like I could do, and just sort of got burnt out with that and knew I wanted to do something different. Wasn't sure what that was going to be. Left the business, got into the mortgage industry, did that for about 9 months. I just really didn't like it, and then the market kind of went crazy. There's a lot of volatility there, a lot of variables, a lot of things that you can't control. And I wanted something, more stable. I kind of found the life insurance industry by accident. A good buddy of mine, Justin Peterson, who's also an agency owner, had sort of been dripping on me about this opportunity. And I kind of just blew it off. Then I hopped on a call with you, and that kind of changed the game. And I figured I would give it a shot, and it's been pretty awesome since. So, yeah.
Okay. I remember that first phone call. I didn't know who you were at all. Justin said good things about you, and he pretty good judge of character for the most part.
Yeah, I'd say that.
But he kind of prepped me. He's like, yeah, he's not looking to do a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, he just wants to kind of do a little bit here and there. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I was in a weird limbo phase. I took a few months off from everything. Was kind of trying to figure my life out, and kind of had a major ego death, I guess you could say. So
okay,
yeah.
ego. I have not. I know what that is, but ego death, I like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So obviously, so you have sales background. So this was really easy for you. You just came in, you knew everything about it, right?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Okay. I would say simple, not easy.
Yeah. Now, okay, so pretty simple stuff. We have leads of people who filled out a form, said, hey, I'm interested in life insurance. We call them, we go see them, we talk to them on the phone, we help them. Simple stuff, rinse and repeat. Now, I have to say, I'm going to go on record that when I listen to you dial the phone, it's like pure music comes out of your mouth, magical things happen. I would love to say, oh yeah, we have the best training, which we definitely do. But obviously you have a background in this. Where did all that come from? Because when I the first time I heard you talk in the home when we were on the phone, I was like, oh yeah, you were saying word tracks that I had learned that I use, but we never talked about it.
Yeah, I think early on in my sales career, I learned the power of edification and third party edification, especially if you don't have a ton of experience, you don't have a huge track record of success. Sometimes you have to borrow confidence from other people. You have to borrow their stories and make them your own until you have your own. And, you guys kind of gave me the process, sort of the road to the sale, which I think is very important, regardless of what you're doing. And I just followed that. I made sure that, I convinced myself to have a ton of confidence, even though I didn't know what I was doing. And, tried to make you look really good. And then you made me look really good. So it worked out. Right?
It works out. Yeah. Okay. What do you mean road to the sale?
Like A to Z, right? Sort of like you've probably heard of, the straight line, sales method.
Yep.
And when you're really new, especially when you got, people kind of pinging you with different things that you've never heard before, it's very easy to get off track. And I think it's very important to, understand what that road to the sale looks like and stick to it no matter what people say to you. Most of the time it's a smokescreen, regardless of, what the objection is or what someone's telling you. Especially, if they filled something out and requested the information, it's like they want it, right? It's just, you can't let them throw you off.
Yeah. Yeah. Which they'll try.
They will. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you just got to stick to it.
Okay. So, I guess, you got started. What was there like a light bulb moment? Like, oh man, this is going to work.
I would say that's probably a few months in, but I mean, even my first day, I remember, hopping on dials with you guys. Live dials is really cool because this can be a very lonely business if you're sitting, in your house dialing by yourself. So we all like to hop on Zoom together, and, unmute and, get coaching, hear people, doing live dials, live telesales, live, booking appointments. And, that first day, I think I booked like 6 appointments in my first few hours, which wasn't enough. But I thought that was pretty good, right? And went out and ran those appointments the next day and sat with my first one, helped her, protected that family, sat with my second one, sold that one, and then couldn't convert the last one. But, at that moment, making those 2 first sales, it was pretty cool because I remember, getting to the house, knocking on the door, sweet little old lady who, she's still got her policy. We catch up and talk every now and then. And, I remember she finally let me in. I was kind of freaking out. We found the kitchen table. I pull out all of my, my credibility stuff. And, I'm just kind of like trying to stick to that road to the sale, right? I'm like, introduce myself, let her know who I am and what I'm doing and what an underwriter is and that there's no fancy sales presentation. I'm just the boring application guy. I hope that's okay. Literally just start reading off the financial inventory, asking the questions. That's kind of like the road to the sale, right? To keep you on track. And, she was telling me she had a policy. I didn't really know anything about the policy she had, but she pulled it out. I looked at it, and I was kind of like acting like I knew what I was looking at. And the only reason I did that is because I knew that, I could call you, and you would kind of load me with the answers, right? So I called you, explained the situation, told you what she was taking as far as medications. And you're like, hey, write out these 3 options and ask her which one she wants. And I did that, and then she, picked an option and, helped her get a policy. Now, and that was kind of a light bulb moment. I got a deposit 2 days later. It was pretty cool.
Now, I remember after those first couple appointments, and this has happened a few times, you're like, I was like, wow, you just made a sale. And you're like, well, I mean, did I?
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah. Is this real?
You hit submit, it's in, it's done. And it was almost like, oh, am I going to get paid? I'm like, yeah, you are. And then we have the conversation like, okay, you're at the end of the day, you made the calls, you made the sales, and like, and you're like, well, I don't feel like I know any more than I did 2 days ago. I mean, I know what to expect, but I don't know anything. I'm like, yeah, perfect. Just keep doing that.
Yeah.
So here you are 5 months later, 6 months later, whatever it is. I mean, how confident do you feel in, your knowledge, your comfortability, whether it be on the phone, in the home, compared to the first month? I mean, obviously it's more, but.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot further along than I was, but it's kind of like, the lead up to the game day, right? You practice, you rehearse, like you got your teammates that support you, but it's like when you're about to, come out the tunnel and like start the game, it's like you still like there's some nervousness there, there's some uncertainty. And even though I feel like I know a lot more now than I did before, I still feel like there's times when, I'm, whether it's a telesale or I'm going to knock on the door, I'm like, okay, what's about to happen? What am I about to walk into, right? But, with the system that we have in place, it's pretty easy to just kind of lean on that and understand that, like, as long as you follow that process and put the numbers in your favor, it's going to be predictable.
So, you just said, hey, my first day I booked appointments, my second day I made sales, and then I just introduced you as, 10 families every 3 days. So it's like, oh, wow, this is just, rocket ship to the moon. Everything's great. Now, I know that's not the case all the time.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about the 10 families every 3 days, the conversations that we've been having, what you've been doing, because you have been doing that. Mm-hmm. And, because you're still part-time. So this is something that you've kind of set up for yourself and your family. And, there's ebbs and flows into the business. So kind of what was some of the thought process when you're like, okay, I want to be full part-time and this is going on in life and what's important to you? And then how does that kind of wrap all in that kind of help you to get there?
So, I spent a large part of my, sales career in a retail environment, and it's one of those things to where like you had to be there, right? Because it's your job. You got to do this like a job as well, right? But you have total control of your time and your schedule. And I kind of got to a point to where I wanted to figure out how could I, recreate and at least match or increase the income I was making before and do it on a part-time basis. So the biggest struggle for me in the beginning was consistency. And honestly, like I still, like I'm not going to lie, like I still struggle with that at times. Sure, in this business, it's very easy for a lot to happen very quickly, in a good way, right? I can go out, in a week and sometimes I'm producing more and creating more income than I did in a month with what I used to do, right? So you kind of like, we make jokes about it. You go to Disneyland, in your mind. It's easy to have a few good days, then you take a few days off, and then that turns into a week. And, you kind of get caught in this, like we like to call it the doom loop, right? So you got to be careful with that. But for the longest time, you and I and Justin and some others talked about, what's going to be a schedule for me that works and makes me happy and allows me to have like that work-life balance. Because, when you come into an industry and you're part of a group of people where there's tons of success, like I feel like sometimes it's not always realistic for everybody to be like a Josh Lockhart who works 6 days a week and who puts up huge numbers, right?
I appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, well, you do, right? But for someone to be able to, come into the business and have, 3 or 4 dedicated days a week and then, create predictable success, I think that's a super powerful story. And I think that's a huge part of, creating a story that attracts people so that you can duplicate and scale your business. So what I've been doing now is basically dialing on Thursday. Still majority in home. I dial Thursday, set the appointments, and I'll go out and run, Friday and Saturday, and sometimes an appointment or like a referral may spill over to Sunday or Monday. Right. And I've been able to, basically do anywhere from like 8 to 12 families in, 2 days. 1 day dialing, 2 days in the field.
Yeah, which is incredible. I mean, obviously, you have the talent, you put in the work. And as long as you, stay with that structured schedule, I mean, it's been working out. Mm-hmm. So now that you kind of have that, I mean, what's the next thing, right? Whether it's a goal or just, what's kind of getting you excited to keep going?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. Kind of having to redefine, what success means for me and, what I want. Not just what I want, but I guess my reasons as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I always kind of go back to a quote that I heard from probably a good mentor of all of ours, virtually for me at least, from Bob Proctor, who passed, this past year. And, he always said that your income is a direct reflection of the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. And for me, I kind of keep that in my head and it kind of pushes me to be better, every day, not just for myself and my family, but I want my clients to have, an experience with me that's irreplaceable. It's not something that can be duplicated by someone else. So I think that's a big push. At first, like in this business and other things that I've done, it's been a lot about, the money because there's great income to be had, right? But you really got to put yourself in a position to where you focus on serving people, right? Yeah. And I think that, especially in this business, considering how fast things can happen, you have to keep in mind that your activity and your habits are much more important than your results. Because if you're constantly focused on results, you're going to be very happy, and then you're going to be very upset with yourself, right?
Right.
But if you can, look at things from, like a 30,000 feet up perspective, and maybe that's like, I pull my head up every month and then look at the results, or maybe it's every 2 weeks, maybe it's every 2 months,
Yeah.
whatever that time frame is for you. I think if you just focus on your activity, you're going to see the results, follow, and you don't have to worry about the results anymore because they become so predictable.
Yeah, yeah. I heard one time somebody said, the difference between an amateur and professional can predict the results.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you said that. I mean, you said, and everybody says it, you gotta care about people, and it's a good sentiment. It's a true sentiment. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people, they get so fixated on, I need to make a sale, I need to make money, I need. And one thing, when I hear you talk to clients, more so than most anybody else, I'm like, when I listen to it, I'm like, wow, he really believes what he's saying, and he really cares. So, I mean, does that come natural? I mean, is that just because that's the way you are? Is that something that you've had to think about, work on?
Well, especially the past few years of my life, I've really had to work on, being patient and being empathetic, right? I think practicing patience is a very important thing in all aspects of your life, whether it be business or relationships, and the ability to, kind of see people for where they are and have empathy for that. It doesn't mean you feel sorry for people. It just means that, you want to help improve their situation and better their life if you can. And so I try to keep that in the forefront of my mind. I mean, I know everybody says that, but if you look at people that are getting results like that's typically what they're doing. They're putting other people, before themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to focus on.
You're such a solid guy. Oh, come on, man.
Hey, look, I hear it from you guys all the time, and I watch you do it, day in and day out. So It's like, hey, you got to surround yourself with the right people. And,
okay.
I would give a lot of that credit to you guys.
Hey, appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. So something simple, right? Obviously, it's financial opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Things
are going up and to the right for you, right? So, if you do X, Y, and Z, you're gonna go and do what? What's on the horizon? What gets you excited? Be like, yeah, I'm gonna hit this next thing.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple personal goals, right? I'm just putting it out there, like, I want to.
This isn't recorded, so what.
Well, yeah. I plan on getting engaged at some point, in the near future, probably, and well, definitely. I don't know the exact time frame.
Okay.
So that's like, got the house, got the perfect lady, got the dog, right? So it's like, I just want to build, on from that, and help, try and help others have success, whatever that means for them, and I'm really kind of wrapping my head around building, an agency, which has been, intimidating for a while for me, but like I've got a ton of support and a ton of guidance, and I'm not the only person that's, having to try and build that, right? I've got people here to help me do that. So I think, being consistent, number one, that's probably the main goal, and figure out what that looks like. I know it's gonna turn into something great as long as I keep doing that. And I think the more that I do that, the more that I'm going to attract, other people who want to do the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I just wanted to get that out there on recording.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Accountability. Okay.
For sure. Appreciate you coming in, man. Good talking to you,
man.
And I'm excited to see what happens next for you.
I'm excited too, man. Thank you.